Dumelang Sanbonani, welcome to another episode of Men 360. Thank you very much for joining us on this platform where we explore, interrogate, and redefine masculinity. We have conversations with different generations, with all genders. As Kete Balalam to siyancokola nje kuphela. Today I'm joined by a good friend of mine, Tshepo Miya. I nearly called him our names, so I will not do it.
Yeah.
I'm having a conversation, Tshepo Miya, so that at least we have a structured, non-playing element. I hope we'll be able to do that throughout the interview. My brother, thank you very much for giving me your time. Welcome to Men 360.
Thank you. At least now it's like it's done. You've been talking about redoing and doing this thing again. So
Yeah.
Well done for actually starting it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we starting or are you continuing?
Continuing.
Continuing again.
The
There we
team
go.
says it's season 2.
There we go. No, that's fine. No, we'll take season 2.
While others are on season 3.
We'll take season 2. It's fine. We'll
Yeah.
take it. Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm alive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay-ish, goodish.
Mm-hmm.
But I think being alive is the most. It's the only thing that I can take at the moment. It's just being alive. Yeah.
Being alive is the only thing I can take at this moment. That's quite deep. But I'll come back to that. It's quite deep and it's quite layered. If I had studied psychology, I would say it needs a lot of analysis and an unpacking. But yeah, I'm not one with psychology. But maybe let's start here. I always want to ask my guests what their understanding is of manhood. To Tshepo, when you say nagele Tshepo ke monna, or when you are looking at other males that you call them men, when you look at your son and you talk to him men to men, what is your grasp of a manhood, monna, in your own context?
I think I would have had a near perfect answer, if I can say that, maybe 5 years ago or even 10 years ago.
Sure.
I think now that answer is, and the description of manhood is no longer a description of your individualism or yourself, because it's so contaminated by everyone else.
Take me to 10 years ago.
10 years ago, manhood would have been a person who is grounded in who they are, understanding who they are, knowing where they want to go, and what is it that they want to achieve out of life. Really, it's as simple as that. I think that manhood is mostly about the relationships that you create, whether in your family or in society. You become a sounding board in your family. You are the guy that when your girl cousins come to you, or haole malume or ole rawani, they come to you and they say, hey, listen, there's a little bit of a challenge here. And they know they're coming to you, are the type of person that's going to be able to give them sound advice. In the community, you are one where there's an issue, hantate mamang. Bomme le bona, they're able to come to you and say, no, bontate re kopa lo bua le ntate mamang because o la le mathata ma. I think that is generally what manhood was. It was, being able to advise one another on direction, where we should go, how we should be able to go about things, how we should be able to behave ourselves as men in society in general.
Would your 5-10 years ago definition and understanding of men and manhood, and as you now say, you said it's polluted, contaminated. Would that have anything to do with your own experience with MEFs, Married at First Sight, or the life after Married at First Sight, or it could be events that could be of the past 3 years coming to date?
Look, I think it's been way before that. You know what I mean? Most probably 5-6 years ago. The contamination part is that manhood is no longer about you as the man. You know, it's the contamination is being told, okay, this is what a man should be. That is the problem, is that we are no longer being afforded the opportunity as men to be who we want to be as men, what we should become of men. Our like society has created this thing where men is directed in a particular manner to say no, monna tshwanetse abe so,
This.
you know. Because sometimes some of these things, when you hear them, Luena, you become surprised to say, oh, now as a man, I didn't know that. You know, and as Rona, when we're sitting as Machita, we don't direct ourselves in that manner. No, monna tshwanetse abe so. I've never sat amongst a group of men that say, Intota must. I've never sat amongst a group of men that do that.
Yeah.
So I think the contamination part, as well as what manhood was most probably 10 years ago, has definitely changed. And I think it's changed because everything else is changing around us.
Yeah.
You know, everything else around us is moving. So it is going to be contaminated because now there are men who, in some instances, don't have that voice or that grounded feet to stand up and say, you know, 10 toes down, I'm not going to change who I am, you know. They become much more fluid. And that becomes a problem because they go from relationship to relationship being something or someone that they are not and creating that expectation. So I don't think for Tshepo it's based on a particular journey or part of my life, whether it was a show or not. I just think that even before then, I wanted to move myself from who I thought as a man I am into really standing on my feet and saying, no, I'm not moving from my stuff. Yeah.
And how would you sum up your own experience? Married at first sight. After everyone else has spoken, after we have walked with you, and after we have all parted, how would you sum up your own experience? And also looking at why you went to the show, what you were looking for in the show.
Look, I think it's to be quite honest, it's triggering. You know, I think for a person like me who's been to therapy, I understand what triggers. I understand what is trauma. I understand what a traumatic experience is, and I can always sum it up as a traumatic experience because of everything that happened during. You know. And that unfortunately is a trauma that you live most probably by for a good 12, 13 weeks, and then it sort of starts to simmer down. And then when you think, okay, you know what, I'm 6 months after, I'm picking up my life, I'm moving on, then the trauma starts all over again, you know, because now you've been dragged into things that have got nothing to do with you know. But I would definitely say that it's a traumatic experience because I don't think anybody goes there, you know, to be traumatized. You literally get traumatized by the people behind, you know, because everything that happens, you're just like, oh, but like what's going on here? You know, what is this thing? Like, how did we get to this point? I thought I was coming here for this. To like if everything is no longer the same. So it's reliving the trauma, but it's also understanding how to get out of the traumatic experience and how to not allow the triggers to get to you. That's really what I would say. Yeah.
And just in that experience, in your participation, what would you identify as the major conflict that happened in your experience, and what did it teach you about yourself?
Look, I think knowing me in the show and out of the show, one thing is for sure, I don't take bullshit. I don't take shit. You know what I mean? Like I don't do that. You understand what I mean? I know what I want. I know what is good for me. I know what is that I need for me. And I think the problem is that when you go through a process to get onto the show, you are quite clear about who you are and what is it that you want. You make your intentions known very well. And then when you're in the process of then shooting, they then want to change you into becoming like, no, but you could be a little bit more like this. And you're like, no, but this is not who I am. You understand? For me, a no is a no. And that's it. If I say I'm not going there, I'm not going there. If I say I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do this. People that know me, friends, family, everybody knows me. I mean, some of my personal relationships, whether family orientated or friend orientated, end because I'm just like, I'm not going to take your nonsense. Irrespective of who you are, I'm not going to take your nonsense. And if it must end, it will end.
Sure.
So I think it's a matter of like, when you know and understand who you are and you know yourself, you will never allow people outside to come and define and change who you are.
Sure.
And I think that became the problem, is that when they were trying to sort of water shift me a little bit and say, no, flow this way, and I was like, I'm not going to do that. Then it became, okay, no, and fair game. You know what I mean? Fair game is that they had the ability and the opportunity to show however it was that they wanted to show. But I think when they go to sleep at night, they know how we showed up.
Sure.
I think from me, you, Kolego, Temba, and everyone, like, we know how we showed up. And how they wanted to show us sometimes is questionable. And I think based on that experience, it made me lose respect not only for the people that were there, but also the production as a whole. To say, hey, I can't, how do you show up? Hence why when I run into some of them, I'm just like, hey,
Sure.
Sure. But yeah, Bongani, hey, now one thing about me, my man, hey, I'm not gonna change who I am, not for no one.
And probably someone else might misinterpret, you saying you're not going to change who you are because they've got a particular narrative or perception of who you are. People always look at me from a distance and like, well, I'm strict, it's unapproachable.
And I was say,
no, Chief, I'm very strict. I'm very straight and forward looking.
Sure.
And these are perceptions. But also, I always say that human beings are selfish beings. In many times, we do not necessarily want people to be that which we want because it's a good cause, but it's because of it's good to me. So who is Tshepo? What makes you growing up? I'm not sure whether it's about your birth, but I know Basotho Mola. Who is Tshepo? After everyone else had an opportunity of having their own perception and looking at whatever they were looking at and concluding, or this is Tshepo. Now, who do you say you are?
Look, firstly, I'm a father, I think, before anything else. I'm a dad, and I'm a proud dad. And I am a dad who has raised his child. And there's a difference between being in your child's life and raising your child. I've raised my son, that's number one. I'm also a son. So at home, I have a brother. I have two parents who are still together. I'm a cousin, ke malume, ke rawani on this side. I am a person who is very proud to have traditional beliefs and to have cultural beliefs. But in that mix, I've got a religious belief as well, And the other thing about me that a lot of people have got perceptions is that I'm a person who's like narcissistic, And funny enough, the people I hang around with every single day of my life, past, present, never said that, And I hang around. No, it's not. It's not. It's not. I don't think. Look, I don't think when I was haba. You know what I mean? And I think by now you would have told me to say when. Well, I don't want to say you know.
Yeah.
But I think that people have taken what they've been shown about me at face value. But when you really, really sit down and you spend time with me and you hang around with me, then you start to think to yourself, man, hey, is this the same person or not? Because this who I am, and you know, I was telling someone that I've known you now for a good year and 6 months, you know, and in that 18,
Known who?
you,
Me?
you,
That long?
that long. It's been a good 18 months, Chief.
I think I must part ways. It's enough. It's enough. We don't want long-term services here.
I think in that in that 18 months, we've never had a clash. We've had conversations. We've spoken about things,
Yeah.
and where you have felt, Ore, I think this thing that you said or this thing that you did was wrong. Not that ke shapile motho or anything like that. You've corrected to say, no man, you shouldn't have, you know, dealt with this issue this way, maybe in another way, and vice versa. And I think a lot of people have got a perception now, no, ke motho wa ho ngala. I'm a person who's just unruly, who just doesn't listen. There's a perception that I'm a person who's just jolly by drinking all the time. You see me once drinking and you don't know that I haven't been drinking for 4 or 5 months, and then you assume it's a continuous thing. A lot of people don't know me and who I am. Ke hlahetse Jozi, ke mfana Jozi, and I'm always proud to say
Not
that
Qwaqwa.
because not Qwaqwa or anything like that. And I always tease my brother to say, when I'm mfana maplasing kuzo hlahetse kwana Freestata, and like mfana Jozi, and ke hlaha mahlo ke bone buildings and lights, you know. And another thing that a lot of people don't know about me is, as much as I speak Sesotho because my mom is Sotho, and that has been the dialect and
Mother tongue.
language. You know what I mean? But I am Zulu. You know what I mean?
Umzulu wakuphi wena manje?
Backview.
Okay,
Scotty in some seeds.
qhubeka.
So for me, it's like a lot of people don't know that about me. They don't know that I am deeply rooted and very fond of my Zulu roots. And I am on a journey of my Zuluness to discover that Zuluness, and I never understood it when I was growing up. My mom always used to say, "Manganga how abonthala Zulu." You understand?
Yeah.
So when I grew up, I just used to just think, it's just a thing, you know. But that's what a lot of people don't know about me, is that I'm a simple person. I enjoy simple things. I enjoy the simplistic part of life. And when you sit down and talk to me, then you realize, oh, no, man, I actually don't know this person. And I will say with confidence, a lot of people don't know me.
Sure.
Outside of the people that know me.
Yeah.
You know.
And look, I would attest to a number of things. Look, I'm not sure about months. I need to calculate properly.
It's
now,
18.
Eish.
1-8 MOA.
But I can attest that. And whenever I talk to people and they want to tell me about you, and I'm like, I don't think you guys know Tshepo. You know? And I guess and I think even when we were shooting, I was one of those people who were consistently on and off camera that said to you, here, take a different turn. Change the indicator plan. You know? And people are like, no, but because he's your friend. I'm like, but why would I keep him as a friend if there's no human being in him? You know? And I remember in the early days, I think, of the shooting, I think after the bachelor party, I think we were all talking about, okay, so what happens when we move in and so on. I think we must have another session with all the other gents, you know, because it was quite interesting after the bachelor party.
The morning after.
For me, I want to know what you think a man is in a relationship, because I remember one of the things you committed yourself to, or we learned at the dinner, actually, the first dinner of the couples, was that you have given your then TV wife your bank card. But one of the other things I learned was unprovoked, you had committed yourself to transporting her to work.
Mm.
I don't know whether unprovoked or you guys had a conversation, but I know that we had shared that quality of wanting to take your wife to work as and when it's possible, because I hold the same sentiments. I've always said that even now I take my daughter to school. I tried that thing of trying to take your wife to work. During the experience, it backfired. And one day we had to talk about it, because that's another thing, that at times people ask for kindness, but they don't know what kindness looks like.
Correct. Or how it feels.
Or how to receive it.
Yes.
You know, because I can tell you now, I remember saying it to when we were shooting to my then TV wife. I said, part of the things I pride myself with is wanting to be able to take my kids to school. That's why I decided on the kind of life I'm living, because I would want majority of the time to be able to take my kids to school. But also equally, I would want days where I'm able to take my wife to work, you know? And I tried that, and I nearly called it, I tried that shit, you know? But it's not shit, because it's something that I want, and I'm not going to be deterred from it,
Correct.
you know? And really, how it then turned around, you know, it became like a smack on the face on how it's received and responded to. But I'm saying I've seen 1 year, and even ourselves we ask, but why are you handing over your card? And I'm sure even at the first dinner there was exclamation, and many of the women in the table were like, "Hi, we're not still my card," you know. And also you having to take your wife to work, you know. How does that mirror how you see yourself as a man in a relationship? In love, in marriage, you know, what are the things that you hold dear as Tshepo Monna wa go Bergville liko Qwaqwa mola ko Sebokeng? What are the things that you hold dear as things that you walk with into a relationship, into marriage?
Look, it might not be a part of this thing, but I'll give you like a very simple understanding is, I come from a family of men who, whatever it is that they have, they give it to their wife to do. My father on a family waka payslip ya high, bank card ya high, and he never questioned what did you do with the money, because he felt his primary job was whether this is your household, and your household needs a functional way of being able to work. So here, these are the things this is what's going to allow you to make that work. But besides that, it's coming from my grandfather, my great-grandfather, etc. Look, I think the whole bank card thing comes from this. It's a thing of like, it's in the car. If you need to pour petrol, or if maybe how to accommodating and you're like, hey, you know what, I reke a few things because get pay. Like the functionality and the access of it. Because I'm the type of person that unnecessary. If you're able to go yourself.
Yeah.
If it's a matter of, I can't go, do you understand? Ubile pizza say 3 or 4 on the stove, and you need, cream, and you need spinach, and they're not there. Then babe, these things, you know what I mean? But don't, how na di pizza next you're laying on the couch. 1, 2, 3. It's not unnecessary. That's the kind of person I am.
Unnecessary.
Unnecessary. It's not unnecessary. 2, I'm a person that enjoys driving. I don't have a problem in driving. And much like what you touched on, I drop off my son at school every single morning. Intentionally so. The school he goes to is a 7-8 minute drive away from home. So I drop him off in the morning. And sometimes I pick him up in the afternoon. But we've got an arrangement of how he gets picked up in the afternoon. But every morning, I drop him off at school because when I grew up, my dad was working morning shift, night shift, all kinds of shifts. And this nigga never realized, bana ba sekolo sa bona so kae. Sometimes he would need to be directed by my mom to say, no, bana ba se ba kena high school ena, ngwana o kena primary ena. But I've made it my point to say, with my child or my children, I am going to know where they are. I'm going to know everything about their lives, you know. Or ba shota eng, ha ba shote eng, you know. So when it came to, you are now in this process, motho kuo or no, tshwanetse ke mmereko. For me it was, I'll drop you off. Okay, because o kena ka nako itseng mosebetsing, nna ke thabela ka nako itseng. So ha ke mind hore ke tso seng ke tso le wena ka tlung ke lo siya and then make my way. I'm now taking out an extra hour of time that I usually would spend at home before I go to work to then drive you and drop you off. Okay. And for me, it was part and parcel of creating a relationship. Because remember, the premise of the show is that you're marrying somebody that you don't know, that you're seeing for the first time. But you still need to build a relationship with that person, whether you like it or not. Because how are you going to become married and stay married if you don't have a relationship? Otherwise, you're just doing it for vibes. So for me, it was part and parcel of creating a relationship, having conversations in the car. Hey, where now? So Lena atlwaele to be around me in my space, on and off camera. Sure. So that even when we're sitting in the car, we can have uncomfortable conversations. You can ask me things, personal things, that we can talk about, that are to us, you know, so that you can see my driving style, so that you can say to me, hey, nah, I'm uncomfortable in driving with you because when you know. Also, being in a vehicle with a man sometimes creates a level of safety for women. Because if you drive in a particular way and she feels safe with you, that's why I robala. Because what so how tloa mona o ya all the way to Durban mzala to nne mahloso chief o shebile ge ha o nka etsala something more at least I'm awake for it, you understand. So that for me was how things went about, you know. This notion of, hey, it's a card and say, hey, here you go, and you know, I'm gonna be a man.
Yeah. No, for me, it's a kind gesture that I was trying to emphasize my knowing and appreciation of your character and personality, more than justifying what people then, came to understand. Whatever they came to understand, it's for them, you know. And that's why I was saying, even before you stepped into, you were like, Anna guys, if I think they were like, just like that, you're like, hey, and that would have been something that we all spoke about just after the bachelor. So I'm not even going to want us to go to what people nitpick what people are saying and try and sway them otherwise. I was just confirming that I know you in a different manner, but also just trying to tap into people having to know and understand Tshepo outside of that. So with us moving, what would be, when you're looking at marriage, what does a healthy relationship look like for you? What does marriage look like for you, both male and female, jointly in an outlook? What does that look like for you?
A healthy relationship for me is mainly about two people who are able to find common ground within each other. Number one, love is not enough. But sometimes love is the ingredient that is needed to put everything together.
Sure.
When you're baking something, when sugar is missing, you can taste when dikuku tsena ha di tswa ka mo tswekere ya shota
lemon cream
hadina mahe haona you can feel. So a healthy relationship is about making sure that all of those ingredients are there in order to make this thing beautiful and taste nice and be amazing. If something is missing, you're going to tell. In a short.
Yeah.
So whether it's money, communication, love, trust, honesty, and all of those things, if one or the other is missing, you're going to feel it. You can be loved by somebody. You can be in a relationship where there's trust. You can be in a relationship where there is openness, etc. But there's no communication. You can have everything else and then there's no money, and then now the question about you being a man in a relationship or the marriage is now in question.
Yeah.
So for me, the healthy part is being able to understand what are the components that go into your marriage. And I say your marriage because my marriage will never be the same as yours.
Sure, true.
Because we are not the same people.
Yeah.
We are not married to the same women.
Yes.
Our women's characterization, personalities are not the same.
It's the same, sure.
So you need to always go according to motho la leng yena o. What do they like? What do they want? And how do you build and work around that in order to make it as perfect as you want?
Yeah.
And it will only ever be perfect to you. Hence why I will never say to anybody to say, what is the can you give me the secrets to a successful relationship or a marriage? There isn't. It's always about you as a person. So I think for me, how it looks like visually is not always happiness and rainbows and unicorns and stuff. It's a household where when you look at the children, you can tell more there is love, there is care, there is openness, there's trustworthiness by the kids. Because kids will never lie. A child will always go to the grandmother and say, hey, Papa, last week una bolela mama hore ke eng eng. Mme wa ba tona mahlo. So through the kids, we can always see household dinner is wrong. And I've always wanted to create that. I've always wanted to create a very loving, caring, warm family. I'm the type of person who wants to have a burubul outside in the yard, but I want a Labrador in the house. You understand?
Yeah.
I'm that type of guy. But I'm also the type of guy who wants to be in the kitchen to help my wife cook.
Yeah.
And I'm also the type of guy who my wife says, can you please hang this up for me? I'll take out my drill and I'll drill the walls and I'll put it up.
Sure.
But over and above all, like you said, na bonga ni kutlwa ka msadi.
Sure.
Msadi ha itse, baby ha re se ke ra etsa so, ha re etse jwalo.
Yeah.
Because I want to live long. You understand? Yes, there's parts of me where I'll say,
Yeah.
Mare nna msadi ha re baby wa sa kgone ho dula ka tlung le ka tlung.
Yeah.
I ke no tsama strateng mona ntse kopana bo lona mona. Jwale se le 11 ebisiu ke ha tsetse mangwela a bohloko because ha ke utlwe ka msadi. Ha itse wa bata dula ka tlung, wa bata dula ka tlung.
Sure. And while talking about Musadi, where's your heart?
Eish, my guy. Oh.
Have you found love?
You know what, ne? Hey, poison. Hey. Okay, let me not lie to you because penalwe na man. No man, Bafanas man, I'm in love, dog. No, I'm in love. No, I'm in love.
You found love?
I'm in love, and I'm in a safe love. I'm in a love that doesn't cause me to have internal fear. I'm in a protective love. I'm in a love that isn't trying to cause harm to me or trying to mess with my mental health. I'm in a kind of love that understands that it's not just love, but it's partnership. So ha ke a mzala ke re ke tswere 100 rand ke wa enka wa ebe a go dula ka tlong share Netflix. Mohlangwana ke go kepe ke tswere 1000 ke la wa enka wa ebe a go dula ka tlong re phe. Mohlangwana ke babe ne ke la ka tsa ho ntsha mara ke na tšhelete. A ba re no wa opela 1000 ana go fa. I mean the kind of love that I've always wanted, but never could understand how it should look like or how it should feel. So now it's here, and it's come in the perfect form, the perfect shape.
Looking at your smile, but now I'm looking at it. Sorry, continue. Yeah.
It's in the perfect form, it's in the perfect shape. It speaks to me in kindness. It worries not. It's teaching me something. It's giving me something. You know. So no, man, no, I'm in love, dog. I won't mess around it. And it's been a while. It's been a while where I can confidently say, no, man, I'm in love.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, and I love the fact that you have seen me with the same person consistently throughout.
No. I have. I'm not worried about seeing you. I'm just, looking at your facial expression as you talk about hair. As you talk about hair.
Serious face now.
I look at you with that. And look, it's a good thing to find love and to find safe love. And I've seen how you are when you are around her or when she calls and you are on the phone. And that's good. There are times where you're like, hey man, this is why I phone now. Back just now, but you are moving towards conclusion. But there are times where you hang up and you're like, hey, this is why I phone now. I'm quite happy with where you are, and I've seen how you guys have, traveled, and how she has stood by you throughout. And not that she needed to be standing by you for the out world, but for where you were,
True.
And I've seen how protective you are of her. The other day you nearly beat us up because you're like, my woman is cold, Chief. And we're like, no, go for the jacket. You're like, Chief, I want to take my woman home. It's cold. And congratulations and do work on that. I know that you guys love each other. And I've seen her as well, how she treats you and how she looks at you. It's quite a beautiful thing when love is found. And I think love should be enjoyed, love ought to be enjoyed when it's found, and live in it, I always talk about people being, treating relationships as a long distance, it's like when I study in uni, it's a part-time arrangement, you only interact when you're writing assignments and tests, and then you don't have full contact time. Unlike being at UJ or VETS, where it's full time. You need to show up every day. And whether a relationship is 3 months, 6 months, 60 years, you ought to live in it and fully immerse yourself in it, so that tomorrow, whether it's finished by death or the two of you decide that you no longer want this, you can sit back and say, I gave it my all.
True.
And I've enjoyed it. I was not living in fear, because those are some of the things I wanted to ask, but because of time, to say, after such a space you have been in, what becomes your shortcoming? That you're like, are you able to receive her? I saw her phone pouch,
that at the back.
Tshepo loves dude.
Yeah.
And someone else might look at it like, but it tells you where people are. But are you able to, after you have walked for so long in the dark, how do you step into the light?
She's my star. She's literally my star. You know when the three wise men were traveling in the in the desert, all they were following was the star.
Yeah.
And I think that amongst many things in my life, in the journey through that darkness, she has been that star of guidance. She has been the one that, that I look up and I say, where am I trying to go to? And then when I see her, then I'm like, okay, that must be the goal, you know. And it's never been easy, following what we went through. And I think for us as the gents, we've went through a lot. People just think, we were there, we had fun. No, we've been through a lot. And I think people sat down with us that actually realized, oh man, these guys, they had a very tough time. You know, I think for me, finding and being with somebody who is that soft, who is that caring and who's that loving, has given me a sense of saying, hey man, you know what, life is bad,
Sure.
you know.
Sure.
And I think I was apprehensive in the beginning because I thought, do I need to prove myself as to who I really am? And I needed not to do that, because when we came together, it was a thing of saying, be who you want to be. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to show up like this, you know. And I've always wanted a relationship where I can be comfortable in my skin and be myself, you know. And thankfully for me, that turned into her falling in love and me falling in love, because this is who I am naturally, you know. So, you know, I often say to a lot of people, if you really want to know who I am, behind closed doors, etc., speak to her. She'll tell you. Even people that she's spoken to before, without my knowledge, they always say to me, hey, you know, this person really loves you.
What have been your toughest moments, and how have you navigated those?
I've lost everything that I have worked for, through public perception, through a majority of things that I don't want to say out of my control, but I have lost a lot. I have lost a lot. And I think in that loss, it was difficult for me to accept you've lost this, you know. Losing your financial stability and income, losing the things that you have acquired, losing your home, losing this, losing that, and having to go back and start over again has been the most difficult part of my life. But I think what has made me understand was, I once had a conversation with Olav Love one day, and I said to her, this is what I've lost. And she sat me down, she's like, but you're still young, and we can start again. You know, that was the defining moment for me to say, hey, you know what, my guy, you can actually do it again. Because she's like, no, you are pressurizing yourself into going back to where you were and getting what you had. But what you don't understand is that if something is chill, there's nothing that you can do. What you can do is you can sweep the ashes away, clean, and look at the space that you've now got and start again. But if you're constantly going to sit there and look at it and say, this thing is bent, it's bent, it's bent, you're never going to see what is underneath once you've cleared out the ashes, so that you can be able to start again. And I think that I wouldn't have been able to change my mindset if I didn't have somebody like that. And when I talk about my tribe, I talk about also being able to have those difficult conversations with you as the gents and with everybody else involved, is that sometimes you guys, you'll be like, you know, and those are the things that slowly kick off that thing to say, hey man, maybe I can actually do this thing. For those 2 or 3 hours to say, man, you know, I can, let me try. You know, let me try again tomorrow. Let me keep trying. Let me keep trying. You know. So I think for me, in the darkness, for me, it's literally been, my star, the light that I needed, and to also want to do better for my son as well.
Sure.
I've thought about, ending life many times, but I think to myself, do I have the kind of people that I want right now in my life that will be able to take care and raise my son the way that I want? And every time the answer is no, then I'm like, I'm China, then we need to keep going.
Sure.
So yeah, I've lost everything, but I know that I'll start again, slowly but surely, and we will start somewhere and we'll build, and we'll get there.
And while on those thoughts, how would you say you measure your worth as Tshepo, and Tshepo being a son, being a partner, being a father, being a brother, being a friend? Is it what you're able to provide financially, or your worth goes beyond that, or it doesn't even start there?
I think my worth is not it can't be. I don't think it can be measured financially. I've been around people whom I would speak to, and they would say, "Hey man, hey, what's on to you? I didn't realize, hey, I could do this thing this way." So for me, I used to think, do I have the financial ability to be able to do something? In the same way as how kopane as Majita, I would always ask myself to say, am I going to be able to get there? You know what I mean? But after spending a whole year and a half with you guys, almost 2 years, it's been one of those things where I've learned, when you say, oh, I must come. You understand? It's not a matter of as long as everything else leave behind.
Sure.
So I think it's learning that your worth is not necessarily just financially based. I might not have the financial muscle to be able to do everything that I do, but that which I have, I can be able to say, hey, you know what, how about you do this, how about you change that, how about I can plug myself in some way, but I've now learned it doesn't always have to be financially based, and I think that for me is worth more than anything.
Sure. And what if it was someone else, I would have, if it was not me asking the question, but your co-husbands on Married at First Sight, looks like you guys have some type of a brotherhood. How are things looking that side?
Hey, you know what, ne? Let me tell you something. I think I was actually thinking about this the other day. I was like, you know what made us bond as the gents? We trauma bonded. Do you understand? We went through a very, we can never describe it to anybody else because it's something that we lived. And I think that is what made us stick together. Because in that moment, we had nobody else to run to. You couldn't run to, your normal group of friends outside, because then they'll be like, oh, no,
yeah.
You understand? And you are you are in it. I remember, and I won't say a lot about this, but I remember the night you came and you knocked on the door. You were like, hey, Chief, give me this thing. Let's go talk now. Then I knew.
The bottle.
Yeah, I knew. So we bonded over the fact that we were going through something. And I think brotherhood that we have it's unfiltered. It's ma fok ya rona I se fok ya everybody. Ke fok ya na wena bonga like batho bua le. So 8 on. But at some point we're going to talk. You understand? And it's the kind of friendship and brotherhood that is not forced.
Sure.
We can go a week without talking to each other. All 4 of us.
Sure.
And then we spend the next 2 weeks talking every day.
Sure.
You understand? We can question each other and say, when I stop doing this, when I do this, when I do that, Yesterday, was it yesterday? Yesterday, I got a call from you, and then I got a call from Temba randomly. And I was like, Temba, what do you want? He was like, fun. No, go check out. Ke o hopotse ena is like ska bua le nna jwale bye bye wa bo. So it's like one of those things are
Yeah.
we have bonded, and I wish that we could infect other men, honestly, with the type of friendship that we have, because majita ga thetsana. Do you understand? I think that is one of the other things that we have, is that we have not gotten to a point of honesty within each other as friends. Okay, now ha le bona go motšhita o mongwe wa sokola is going through this thing, ba bang ba re mfana enana le nna ke la le mathata a ka, you know. Some people we don't know how to cause each other. O no tlotlella etsa ntho ntse e etsa gai o jwalo.
Sure.
Do you understand what I mean? And I think that I wish that we could really infect other men and have these conversations, and for other men to not necessarily be like us, you know, but
They have to go through the trauma first.
there's something must trauma bond you guys, you know. You must experience something together, and I don't think that the loss of anything else, you know, whether you're losing a parent, a grandparent, a sibling, etc., would have been the same. But we bonded because we were in this thing at the same time together. And it was not anybody else that we could turn to and say, hey man, hey, no rough. You understand? So I really appreciate it. It keeps me sane most of the time. And sometimes I just sit there and I look at you guys and I'm like, but I don't want to see these people, you know? And then we don't speak for a week, and then the following week I'm like, yeah, no, we're speaking again. Great. You know? So, man, it's Brotherhood has been amazing. I know we're still going to do amazing things. We've got that big thing coming up now. We've just done this other thing now. So it's amazing, man, you know. And like, for example, with Otemba, we don't see Nelisa as Temba's wife. We see her as like our sister.
Yeah.
You understand? So sometimes Otemba when he wants to do something or when he says something, so chalo Nelisa.
Yeah.
Hambo yekhaya.
Yeah.
Much, you know, I want to stay with you guys here till 2 o'clock in the morning. Bafanas.
Go home.
Go home.
Yeah.
You understand? And now we're instilling the same thing in Nkuleko to say, no, your wife is not just your wife. La, she is our sister. She is umakotuala sekaya, and we will treat her with that same respect. You know what I mean? And enough seen with my person as well. You guys, you give her that freedom. You know what I mean? You don't look at her and say, umuntu akaTshepo. You're like, she's our sister, and that's the kind of, I think, friendship and brotherhood that is good and amazing. Because now, for example, my person has got all of your numbers. So in the future, if I'm unable to do or say or go and be, I can be able to say, babe, ereke fonele Temba atla outlo tusa because now I'm not there. And Temba can say, no, it's fine, ereke because in the same way that he can come to me and say, hey, mfana, o teng ko kae kae mzala o teng gara ke kopa o wabo. It becomes that kind of brotherhood and friendship, and it's no longer a weird thing. You know, la Nelisa mpona ha outside, she doesn't say, "Ay, who's this guy?" You know what I'm saying? Well, I came out to me, say, sharp. That's how it is. You know. So I really appreciate it. I really love it, and I think that, hey man, ka in a bottle you know.
Mia, thank you, man. Before the Desha, you know. But yeah. Thank you for this wholesome conversation. We always talk, Nalwen, and sometimes we're like, hey, dude, drop a phone, because we end up not having to go on with the day, you know. But I really appreciate you having taken time for us to have this conversation. And I'm still looking forward to our journey in the Brotherhood, you know. And happy about that thing and this thing that is coming.
Hey, this thing that's coming,
and other things that are coming, you know. But I do wish you nothing but what is good and desired by your heart. May God, you know, continue to refill your cup. As I would always say to people, I wish you enough, and enough is undefined because I don't know where your limits and where you start and you end your requests with God. But because I know where your heart is, I do wish you good, and I hope God continues to do you good, you know. Man 360 community, thank you very much for joining us for this episode. I always tell you guys, if I'm with guests, I will always try and keep it nice and we don't pull punches. I hope you enjoy this conversation and we see each other on the next episode. I wish you enough.